How's it going? Alex here. As games experimented with a variety of visceral experiences in its early years, storytelling became a much more integral part of it as technology improved over time. While some designers and academics decry the presence of stories in games, many others argue that stories are an important facet of the medium because it allows us to quickly connect with the characters we choose to spend time with. And given that the art of storytelling has been around since the dawn of civilization, it's really difficult to argue against a tried and true concept. However, much like how the best told stories are greatly enhanced by lively narration, a story's presentation does affect how it captivates us. A good presentation allows us to settle down, relax our criticisms a fair bit, and take in the story to be told without ever giving much attention to outside distraction. While there have been many great games featuring chill and relaxing atmospheres, Toge Productions' Coffee Talk roasts a different kind of blend than other games in its genre, showcasing the coffeehouse's diverse clientele whose stories and tales captured my heart in the few days I spent working there. Coffee Talk is what I'd like to label a service industry-themed visual novel, which is a quietly growing category of games popularized by the cyberpunk bartending simulator Valhalla. The games in this genre typically put you in a role that exposes you to a wide variety of individuals, whose beverage requests are yours to fulfill. Coffee Talk casts you in the role of a barista, whose name is of your own choosing, serving delicious and delectable beverages in a coffee shop that shares the game's namesake. Unlike Valhalla, however, Coffee Talk does not feature any scoring elements or goals such as income or rent. Its developers decided against this because it would defeat the purpose of the game just to relax and enjoy the story, and the latter point is at the heart of why Coffee Talk's storytelling feels very impactful. In the event that these esoteric descriptions don't satisfy your need to learn about how Coffee Talk plays, I'll explain the gameplay loop to you plainly. Coffee Talk is a purely story-driven game, where the drinks you prepare for your customers help influence their decisions in their own stories. That's it. There's nothing else you'll be doing gameplay-wise that's relevant to the direction of the story outside of that. As you might have surmised, simply boiling down Coffee Talk's gameplay loop in this manner makes it sound like an uninteresting game. What this doesn't describe, however, is the kind of refined storytelling that's propelled by the motif and vibe that the game serves you in its visual and oral presentation. Much like a hot cup of espresso, Coffee Talk's stylized pixel art might not be to everyone's liking. However, there's a lot of small details that you'll notice only if you choose to approach the game from a relaxed perspective. When I first started the game, its presentation immediately reminded me of old Carmen Sandiego games on the PC in the late 80s, taking me back to the time that I tried to get a cup of coffee from a vending machine only to have the cup fall sideways and having said beverage drip on its sides. There's a beauty in the minimalism of that presentation, and I feel strongly that the same kind of careful minimalism is reflected in the kinds of choices that define Coffee Talk's aesthetic. Outside of the game's opening cutscenes, Coffee Talk is played entirely from within the coffee shop, from your perspective behind the counter. Allowing yourself to pause the dialogue, you'll see that there's a lot of kinetic action happening beyond that, subconsciously reminding us of how life can be both bustling and busy as you watch various silhouettes walk to and fro through its windows, contrasting against the typical rainy northwestern weather that showers upon Seattle, the city that plays host to Coffee Talk. Seattle is a fitting location to set Coffee Talk, as it was the place that gave rise to the United States' second wave of coffee culture. This is a Seattle that also plays host to a variety of mythological and fantastical races, which includes humans as well. Coffee Talk just happens to be one of the few coffee shops in Seattle that is still open during the late hours of the night, you see, and the denizens who frequent it aren't so different from the kinds of people you'd expect to meet in real life. Each person has their own unique stories to tell, interacting and often blending with one another, much like the components of the beverages you'll be making. Compared to the busyness seen through the coffee shop's windows, the patrons of your shop are animated very minimally, reinforcing the chill and lax atmosphere established by the warm-colored interior of the store, against a soundtrack that has some of my favorite songs this year. Coffee Talk is filled with easy-listening lo-fi beats, one of which is a chill hip-hop arrangement of Debussy's Clair de Lune. Songs often transition seamlessly from one style to another, and sometimes change when an event or specific kind of conversation occurs. This interactive music change is a detail that I didn't notice until my second time through, as I frequently got lost in the vibe and the ongoing conversations in the store. Out of the entire soundtrack, there's only one song that really didn't strike my fancy. This song featured an offbeat percussion that didn't sound quite right to me, but that just might be my personal taste. Though lacking in animation, Coffee Talk's customers are very expressive and often exhibit body language shifts that are very nice and a small touch to an otherwise minimalist presentation. Sadly, I cannot delve deeper into the lives of each of these denizens, as their stories are pretty much what the game is all about. However, I will say that it was very easy for me to really care about the kinds of triumphs and challenges that each person goes through, as many are quite relatable. In fact, some of these stories act as a small little social commentary to what's going on in the real world around us, without verging on being too imposing or finger-pointy. Outside of the main story, there is a mode that allows you to play an endless shift. Admittedly, as much as I enjoyed making drinks for Coffee Talk's patrons, the idea of serving coffee in a more gamified version of what I experienced didn't appeal to me. In fact, after I finished the game's story, I lamented on how my experience felt like it was just getting started. There are patrons that have been coming to the shop even before the game starts, but there are others whose time at the store just began a mere days before the game ended, whose lives I wanted to hear about further beyond what I had seen. I credit this feeling as a testament to the kind of storytelling that its writer was able to craft, and I keep thinking about how Coffee Talk could be a powerful platform for storytelling just by introducing new characters, interacting with the shop's regulars, and having them share their own stories and perspectives. Sadly, as of this review's release, there's been no word of a story extension or expansion, but I sure did wish it was coming. Perhaps my only real criticism of Coffee Talk is that while making latte art, the serve button is mapped to X, with no confirmation dialogue popping up to confirm my decision. This made me accidentally serve lattes with zero artwork, with customers scoffing at my lack of effort. I understand that part of the game's charm is its unobtrusiveness, but I find that providing the right kind of prompts also works towards streamlining the player experience, versus having the players blame themselves for an action that was entirely done by mistake. Though my shift at Coffee Talk was a short one, the people I've met, as well as the stories they've shared with me, will stay with me for a very long time. Coffee Talk's patrons are just like us after all, with their own sets of goals and hardships that reflect upon us our individual journeys through life itself. Coffee Talk then serves as a quiet respite from the toils and troubles that we encounter on the regular. It's an opportunity for us to step outside of ourselves and take on a role that contributes to society in a way that few people realize and appreciate. And anyone willing to serve a cup or two of espresso at this establishment will find a charming game that turns out to be, at least for me, one of my favorite experiences of the year.